I grew up in a Christian family. Both my parents were Christians, and I have an older brother as well. And he's a Christian as well. And so we grew up in church. We were there every Sunday, if not more. The school that we went to was also the church, so we were actually there every single day. When I was around 4, I made a decision to follow Christ and to give my heart to Christ. I did not have a good relationship with my dad growing up. He was very punitive. Every time that we did something wrong, we would get spanked for it. And I remember at a very young age, just in my heart and in my head, just not wanting to be anything like my dad. As the only male role model in my life, it was probably pretty detrimental to my development, because I didn't want to be anything like the male who was supposed to teach me how to be a male. On the flip side, I thought my mom was pretty perfect. Dress up in her clothes. I used to watch her put on her makeup and do her hair, and when she was gone, I would put on her makeup and try to do my hair, and I would just wear her clothes around the house. And I thought that was great, because then I could be like my mom. So I started to get a lot more feminine attributes as I was growing older, because I really didn't want to be like the males. When I was around 10 years old, I found out that my parents were getting divorced, and that was really difficult for me, because we grew up in such a legalistic household, where we just didn't sin, quote unquote. We actually ended up soon after that moving churches, and then about a year and a half after that, moving locations from West Palm Beach to Fort Myers. And so within that time frame, my whole life just got flipped upside down. That's when I started noticing that I was attracted to the same sex. That's when I started really just seeing attractive guys and thinking about them and thinking about being with them. And I knew what homosexuality was, because I grew up in the church, and I was like, oh, this can't be happening to me. I'm not gay. No, maybe it's just a phase. Maybe it's just something that I'm going through, because I know what this is, and I love God. So how can I be gay? How can I be homosexual? It's something that I tried to ignore and deny. And part of that for me, as I was growing up from middle school and through high school, was becoming really involved in church. Was really just trying to take my mind off of those things and really trying to do stuff to make myself feel better about how I was supposed to be living, and how I was struggling with these attractions. So I didn't tell anybody. I didn't feel like the church was a safe place to talk about my attractions. So by the time I got to college, and I moved away for college, I felt like this is a new leaf. This is where not a lot of people know me. This is where I can go and maybe just start a new life and try to see how this whole gay thing is. So halfway through my freshman year, I came out of the closet to my best friend back at home. And then she was a church member, and she told me at that point that she could no longer be friends with me if I chose to live this lifestyle. And that was again another reinforced message by someone who represented the church, that was really a painful message, and something that I don't think Christ would have responded that way. So I was really upset. And somehow my mom found out. She asked me, "Ethan, are you gay?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." And so I came out to my mom. It's certainly not the best way I wanted to come out to her. But she said, "Okay, I love you regardless of what you choose for your life. I think that lifestyle is a sin, but I will never stop loving you, and you can live that way for the rest of your life, and I won't stop loving you." And that was the first time that I saw a representative of the church give a loving message to someone who was a homosexual. She presented Hebrews 12:1 to me, that says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us put aside every hindrance or every struggle, if you will, and run the race of perseverance that is set before us. And she said it in a way that was like, we all have something that we struggle with. Every single individual, Christian, human, non-Christian, everybody has something, at least one thing that they struggle with, and they will have to struggle with probably for the rest of their lives. And she said, this might be yours, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to live your life for Christ. It doesn't mean that you have to live your life according to your flesh. And that was the first time I had heard it kind of presented that way, even though I had read that verse many times. So it kind of started giving me a new perspective. Then I went to church, back to youth group, that Wednesday that I was back for spring break. And there was a song that I had sung dozens of times before in praise team. And we were singing it, and that is just where the Holy Spirit just slapped me upside the head and said, wake up. And the words are, it's all about you, Jesus. It's not about me, as if you should do things my way. You alone are God, and I surrender. And it was then and there that the Holy Spirit just really impressed upon me. He says, you call yourself a Christian, but at what length are you willing to go to sacrifice your life for Christ? He sacrificed all for you. What are you going to sacrifice for Him? You say that you love Him, but the definition of love is that you lay down your life for your friend, as prescribed by the Bible. What are you laying down for Christ? If you're living an openly gay life, how are you sacrificing anything? How are you denying yourself and picking up the cross and following Him?